One of the most amazing modern military forts was constructed many years before the war it actually ended up fighting. It is one of the large German forts outside the French city of Metz. One that inspired the French on how to build the Maginot Line forts later. And the best part is that despite over 100 years later, 2 world wars including being bombed by the US Air Force, it is still intact and can be visited throughout. Feste Wagner, built between 1904 and 1910, it was part of the bigger program of fortifications called the Moselstellung. They involved fortresses throughout the Mosel Valley between Thionville and Metz. The 2 cities were specially served by the Kanonbahn Berlin-Metz, a strategic railway line. The aim was to protect against the French attack to take Alsace-Lorraine back. From 1899, the Schlieffenplan from the German General Staff had designed fortifications to protect the German supply line, the rail lines, and defend against the French attack and protect the flanks of Metz. It is still one of my favorite cities, and one that have changed hands more times than I can remember. After the Franco Prussian War and the French surrender of the city after being under siege, the city of Metz remained German until after World War I. Then a ring of forts were constructed around the city, of which we have visited, and each is more impressive than the last, but Wagner truly is something else. It is a second-generation fort built after Feste De Mutzig and the lessons learned there, with all the modern amenities and armament you can possibly imagine, and from way before World War I. The fort had all the latest innovations, both in armaments and also in living conditions. It had a great comfort for the time: central heating, toilets, bread ovens, electric power plants, telephones, and running water. Had telephone communication with all the surrounding positions and forts as well. It was built on about 47 hectares of land, with 4 fortified barracks that would hold about 1,250 men. There are 15 observation domes, 51 lookout posts, 2,000 meters of underground galleries and linking tunnels. It had its own water supply and was powered by 7 diesel engines. Initially it housed 4 companies of infantry, 2 machine gun companies, 2 artillery batteries, and 3 pioneer sections. And the biting end was something else as well. It could deliver 2 tons of steel on target every minute. All this was sprouting from 5cm guns for close defense, 10.5cm guns, 150mm howitzers, and 15cm naval guns, and obviously loads of Maxim heavy machine guns and German 75s for direct fire. And all of this was before World War I. Now, having abandoned the site since 1945, the restoration was begun by a great group of volunteers and led by a father and son team. And they have done an amazing job bringing this history back to life and keeping it alive. We are at another one of the fortifications of Metz, Fort Wagner. What makes this exceptionally interesting is it is the second generation forts. Like Platteville was the first generation, the 1910s, the Germans built this. It's the second generation with upgrades, and you really see the evolution of fortresses and fortress work here. And I am just dying to see this, especially because it's sunny for the first time. What makes Wagner so fascinating is it is a modern fort of the modern era, but still you have throwbacks back to the days of castle building. You have the caponniers that you see, the covered walks, the trenches firing positions on top of walls, the enormous buttresses holding the walls in place. And despite these enormous fascinating buildings, you also have the low to the ground for protection, the covered walks, the cement, and just the hint of rebar sticking out here and there. The first thing you see coming into the fort is an emplacement for a giant pre-dreadnought battleship gun, Where do you ever see that anymore?
Yes.
This was the train for the big gun that was positioned here.
Yes.
But you have to love a land fort that had a ship cannon. I guess that would have been a battleship. This would have been a dreadnought cannon, literally on wheels and rail tracks. They could move from position to position. And this was planned before World War I, which makes it even more impressive. Almost as impressive the guys here are for having actually laid these new railway tracks, since they had been torn up after World War II. Sitting underneath here. So they would have planned for these to be pulled into place when the war came. Wow, the light fixtures, literally just hanging. They've come off the roof here, and they're just kind of hanging here like cobweb. And this is one of those things they'll get to. A lot of electrical wiring. I would imagine this would be one for... There are so many things on the walls in here. I wonder if this was not communication. And you see this window could be blocked off and sealed with a heavy bar.
In 1900, the German army asked Krupp to design and deliver a long-range heavy gun that could quickly be moved with the shielding onto pre-prepared positions to conduct counter-battery fire, with the help of specific weapons, regular or narrow-gauge railway systems. They initially delivered 12 guns from 1903, and they were practically 15-centimeter naval guns in system, with a thick steel plate shield box. They were named 15-centimeter KISL, 15-centimeter Kanon in Schirmlafette, 15-centimeter gun on a shielded carriage. And here they were used to fire on French troops in 1914, and others were clocked in at firing 200 rounds in 2 hours. One even engaged a British pre-dreadnought battleship, the HMS Majestic. They were very good at what they did and became the inspiration for the later World War II German railguns.
Wow. This would be the, these are the ammunition shelters for the heavy ship cannons. See, some of the steel doors have been broken, eroded. Things rust until a great bunch of reenactors shows up and starts restoring them, which is awesome. Well, communication and munition, and then they would wheel it into place here. These big ship cannons. That's a mount you don't see very often, especially because most of the ships they would be on probably have been sunk by now. Wow. More munition shelters down here. Doors coming off, slightly different than the smaller one, so I'm guessing that probably was for the fuses. And here's another one. These great positions for the ship cannons.
The transport weight for the gun was 22,500 kilos. The firing rate was 2.5 shots a minute and a maximum range at 19,500 meters. Wagner has 2 other batteries, one a 150mm howitzer and one a 10-centimeter Fortress gun, both encased in a steel dome after the testing done at Feste De Mutzig previously had proven the best method and design for the best Fortress gun. Here they are, the Panzerturmkanon placed on top of the artillery block, just as we've seen at several other places, including Feste de Plaperville. And yes, I know what I said about raining.
And this is why we're glad water-resistant tar was invented. As you can clearly see, this is where the barrel sticks out far more. The 150 centimeter howitzer. Longer range, but a smaller shell.
The 10.5 centimeter KISL Fortress gun was introduced in 1897. The first gun of a family of 10 centimeter guns. These guns were mounted inside a heavy Schumann-designed steel cupola with a thickness ranging from 40 to 150 millimeters.
So the empty shell casing will just disappear down there.
Yeah.
That's very clever.
And this is a tray for change the tube. Yes.
That's why you have the long barrel laying down there, 10.5 centimeter barrel, and for the 150, it would kind of cut off right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you would need to crank it up through one of these here with the chains, and it would come up through here.
Yeah.
For replacement barrel. And this is for the hand turning of the turret.
Yes, it's for elevation of 26 tons of turret.
This will just lift up just a little bit like
Yes.
the other one, just a couple of centimeters.
And this it's for the elevation of tube.
Since these cupolas were not retractable, the gun barrels were exposed to enemy fire, so that a variant appeared with a tube reinforced by a steel mantle. The vertical aiming was made by pivoting the tube around the ball joint with the cupola. There was no recoil recuperation mechanism, the gun being statically connected to the fortress mass. The horizontal aiming and the firing needed to be elevated the cupola about 3 centimeters over the shielded ring base. For this reason, the firing recoil had the whole cupola oscillate for a few seconds. Must have been so much fun inside. The projectiles weighed between 16 and 19 kilos, with the high explosives had a range of 13,000 meters and the shrapnel shells about 10,800 meters. There was also a shorter 10.5 centimeter gun developed, not to be confused with a larger 150 millimeter howitzer that was also in place here at Feste Wagner.
And mechanical, this is just as good as if it was electrical, because it was almost as fast.
Yeah, the French fortification have a electric mechanism, but the German fortification prefer a number of the technology. The French Touraine Eclipse, it's very sophisticated.
Yes, it is, and it's expensive.
And more explosive. But the German army make a 4 tourelle for the same price of 1 tourelle of French fortification.
Awesome. And it was made by Krupp.
Of
course.
Yes.
Who else?
This is the original number of this tourelle. all tools have one number, and this tool it's a number 45.
So that would be number 45 ever made.
Yes, yes.
So this is where you see, literally just turning. And then this will be for the elevation.
Yeah, elevation of shoots.
And that's really clever because you see the little nacelle that you clipped around the barrel that moves independently, but it keeps anything from coming in here. That's really, really well thought out. And you would have the shell sitting down here, and you have all the gears. Yeah. So it's not even really that heavy.
Yeah.
And you have the telephone.
Yeah, original telephone, yes.
And you have a speaking tube.
Yeah.
I always found these artillery blocks fascinating. They are, however, the very last step of the centralized fort. One can only imagine what would happen if a heavy shell penetrated the roof in any which of the powder magazines within. But still, it is fascinating to see something more akin to the side of an old battleship or a dreadnought sitting here on land.
And that's the ramrod.
It's for a clean the tube. It's original.
This is all the stuff you would need.
Yeah, it's for change.
This would close around the barrel so you could keep water and moisture and maybe even shrapnel out. I mean, well, yeah. This would keep a bit of shrapnel out. This is, wow, this is a lot thicker than I thought it was, just from looking at it.
Yeah.
This is a good half a centimeter to a centimeter, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah. Two.
So to change the barrel, these are all the bits and pieces. And I'm guessing those are the little wheels to transport it.
Yeah.
These goes over the outside rings?
Yes.
Armor rings?
It's for the tube long renforcé. It's a 300 kilo of
armor?
The big tube.
For the 150?
Yes.
That runs really smooth.
Yes.
You guys really restored that nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a new bicycle.
Yes.
Wow. And then you know what's upstairs.
This room is for make a fuse inside in the shell.
Yes.
And after the other room, it's for assembly, make a shell with doing inside.
So the fuses would be in here.
Yeah.
The shells would be in there.
Yeah.
Where the fuse would come in from.
Yeah. It's for this machine. It's for make shell with doing. Before you make a powder.
The powder sticks.
Inside. Yeah.
Yes.
for shoot the shell.
So you would put powder sticks in there depending on the range.
Yes.
So if you needed 5 kilometers, you only needed so many. If you needed 10 kilometers, you needed more.
Yes. You make a 3 stick of powder for 10 kilometer or 10 stick for 20 kilometer.
And then you would put it all together right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Make inside the shell inside after do it and close. And block this part and turn. And this push this party inside normally and assemble.
So that would push the projectile into the. All right. So that okay. So that goes on here, and that would push the projectile onto the shell casing, just like when you reload today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delicate.
And this machine, it's for make a good form of the dough.
So that will crimp the shell,
Yeah.
the casing.
Because the hot product hot it's deform.
Yes. So this will crimp the casing.
Yeah.
And you know what is interesting? This room still smells like powder.
Yeah.
It smells like powder in here. And it's been. Now what I really like is the green footprints. So people know exactly where to stand. And that was original, right?
Yes, it's original for the soldier work inside with this post.
So they would know exactly where to put things, where to stand to not get in trouble.
It's original position for the shell for.
But that also means you could reuse the shell casing.
Yeah.
So you don't need 10,000 shells and 10,000 shell casings.
Yeah.
You just need a couple of hundred and you can keep. So logistically this is much simpler. But of course you need more people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
This little fire extinguisher, what exactly that would do if anything in a room full of shells and detonator and powder actually caught fire. But this looks like this is over 115 years old, and it looks like it is straight out of the Atlantic Wall.
It's a big place for the ceremony.
Oh, this is the Appellplatz.
Yes, well, yes.
Oh, this is support for the structure.
Well, yes, it's a contrefort. The architect build the fortification, and after the fortification move and make a contrefort for block.
Okay, because the earth started moving.
Yes.
There, behind here, there's an earth wall.
Yes.
This is almost medieval.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, I see the crack where.
Yes.
And this is just cement. This is not reinforced.
Yes.
There's no rebar, no steel.
No,
it's just cement.
It's just cement, and there are one gallery inside.
Holes? Is that
American gun.
Is that testing after they took it?
The soldier, American soldier, stay in and shoot with mitrailleurs.
When the Battle of Metz began in September 1944, German soldiers of the 462nd Volksgrenadier Division, the Golds de België SS Panzergrenadier Division, and the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division firmly held on to the forts, including Wagner. So when Patton's offensive began on September 7, 1944, with the 90th Infantry Division leading, they were stopped at the Moselle River, despite taking 2 bridgeheads south of Metz. Apparently, the old forts were far better defended and tougher than the Americans had thought. both General Patton and General Walker decided to suspend the attacks for now. Then, on November 9th, 1944, the U.S. Air Force sends 1,299 heavy bombers, B-17s, B-24s, and drops 3,753 tons of bombs on the forts around Metz. The 689 loads of bombs destined to strike the main forts of Joinnevac and 6 other forts, including Wagner, those that were identified as the priority targets holding up the American advance. But the bombing merely caused collateral damage, proving once again the inadequacy of massive bombing of military targets, for one, but also it proved the resilience of these old forts. Quite a few bombs hit the roofs of the large caserne here and its fighting positions also. Yet none of them penetrated the unreinforced roof, telling of the quality of the construction. Even the fighting positions that were hit by bombs and shells had resulted in only very few cracks inside, as we shall see.
And you can imagine how during the war all these were not painted red. In fact, any of the wars. So during World War I, the railway station in Metz was bombed, right?
No.
Shelled?
Shelled, yes.
Shelled.
Shelled, yes. This is American bomb destroys the building.
Oh yeah, there used to be a wall here.
Yeah. The plane come of Nancy, Pont-à-Mousson, and come back in the fortification for destroy the building.
And this was what, B-17s in the daytime, American?
Yes.
So they just bombed everything.
Yes.
I mean, they were fighting over Metz very seriously.
Yes. Yes.
And here you can really see how the parapets have just crumbled or are no longer straight. This is not the camera that's crooked. This is how it looks after being bombed.
The bomb inside and move the parapet.
Yeah, the whole wall has been moved here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really see. So this was built with rebar.
Yeah,
Just a little bit, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't reinforced in general. This is roughly how the fighting trench would look before it was shot to shit or bombed. This is kind of how a nice normal trench looks, firing parapets. And then this is how it looks when it's not so pristine. But it is almost ammunition storage in here?
Yes, ammunition and troopers, soldier position. This for the munition of the MG.
Yeah. So the machine guns and then individual soldiers fighting.
Yes. And this is for stock the machine gun. We make these machine guns with a system of transport.
Okay.
And, don't shoot on the rain.
This
makes this for protect.
I'll put this. So I'll store all the weaponry in there, and the machine gun goes in there when it's not being used.
The machine gun stuck in this part because during don't shoot the rain, for protect of the rain.
Yeah.
Is stuck on the building.
This was built in 19 or 18.
1910.
1910.
Yes, 1910.
So they were beginning to use rebar.
Yeah. Create a new fortification. He test the system of fortification and build and beton and rebar. But before the First World War, you don't know use the rebar in the beton.
Yeah.
There are one problem of rebar in the beton. It's oxygen and carbon and the metal.
So it was rust. It was expanding and then rusting.
Yes, yeah.
Oh. So what did they do about that?
This is it's one observatory.
We're on top of the big fort, and that is protecting inside.
Yes. It's for protect
This is
inside, not enemy. Go on.
Coast defense, and then this is for the outer walls of this fort.
Yeah.
So you're looking at least 3 or 4 rings.
Yeah.
Was this a bomb crate? Well, no, this was a walkway into the.
It's observatory of isolé, no connect with the building.
I gotta say, this looks so much better when it's not raining.
Yeah, it's rough.
So, this was the fighting parapet for the infantry.
Unfortunately, for protect the soldier.
And again, I see a little rebar.
Yeah.
I see a little rebar in there.
A little rebar, just
Not enough.
no.
Bomb damage.
Yeah.
Serious bomb damage.
The plane come back and destroy out position.
So they bombed this. They bombed this several times.
Yeah.
So this is the wall that collapsed into.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little rebar, but not as much as.
No, just for exterior of the beton.
Just to hold it together.
Yeah. If you look these parts là, not rebar inside, just for parts.
Just to hold the structure together.
Yeah.
Wow. And this is the observation up there.
Yeah, it's a great escargot.
Yes.
Yeah, escargot.
They blew one up in Kommersdorf to test.
This it's other model. It's a new model.
Yeah, the old one was a little smaller.
Because inside there one periscope.
There wasn't?
Inside there are periscope. Come the U-boat position for machine gun of the plane for destroy the plane. Make the machine gun inside and after shoot on the plane.
And that was World War I.
Yes, but
That was before World War I.
Interestingly enough, the very war that gave Alsace-Lorraine back to Germany was the one that saw the very first use of anti-aircraft weaponry, as the Prussians and Germans were shooting down French balloons as they were escaping the siege of Paris. So the very first anti-aircraft weaponry was made to shoot down balloons.
Two for this building
Okay.
and two for other building. Old building, two model of MG.
And this was also to shoot down balloons,
Yeah.
observation balloons. Wow! Just look at this.
And this there are one bomb of American Army destroy
Yeah, no kidding.
one gallery for connect one observatory inside.
Oh, this went all the way inside.
Yeah, the gallery destroy for access of the observatory. This is a little bomb of American Army.
250 or 500 kilogram?
I don't know.
It's hard to tell because if it's not secured with rebar, maybe a 250 kilogram could do this.
Yeah, yeah. But
Because-
I think it's a small bomb of 50 kilo.
Really? So this position goes all the way around,
Yes,
so you can defend in 360 degrees.
yes, yes.
Awesome.
And this is one trap for open and give a periscope for,
That's yeah.
for observation.
So all of these up here were watching that way over, and that one was watching that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Just out of orientation, I know we are in. I know we're in France,
Yeah.
but where is France?
This direction?
France is that way,
Yes. You.
and Germany is behind
Yes.
us.
You
Okay.
see a facade of building.
Yeah.
And inside, it's a German army.
Yes.
Always, you see facade in the inside the German army.
Yeah, of course, because this is the back of the building. It would be facing
Yes,
away from the
yes,
enemy.
Protect
Yeah.
2 meters of beton for protect, and the facade just 1 meter of beton for protect.
Yeah.
For the other building, have a possibility of destroy the facade.
So the Germans built the same way the French built the Maginot Line and the forts. Strong to the front, weak to the rear.
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't just the French that did that. I thought that was always French and Belgium. They built their forts with a weakness in the back.
Yeah.
But the Germans did too. Here,
Yeah, it's no,
in case we lose it, we have to take it back. Okay. That's it. That's interesting. That I actually didn't know that. Very good. I really see the trenches. This is such an amazing place.
yeah, it's a very beautiful trench.
And this is where we came up last time.
Yeah, it's go out with this.
Yeah. See over there? That is the same observation post that we see at Mutzig that have been blown up a little bit sideways, I'm guessing. The little snail that I will now try to navigate into with little armored portholes here.
I look at graffiti of the Second World War. The name of one soldier, the 26th October of 1940.
40. So
Yes.
that's German. German.
German soldier, yes. He stay in
Do you see? Can you see the name? Can we read it?
Koenig.
König.
I don't know. But at the city, but
Someone out there will be able to read this and tell us, and then we can see what we can find. See if he made it.
1911 and before the First World War, and this it's 1912, 1914, the same the 100 jours before the stop the service of military service.
Okay, so okay.
Yes, it's a little poem of before
The end of his term. So,
yes.
so this was a soldier's last couple of days.
yes.
Oh yeah. 1912, 14?
Yeah.
1912 to 14.
Ouais. And this it's a French graffiti of 1985.
1980. 85?
25. Pardon.
25. So this is after the war's over.
Yes.
The French were here.
Yes, it's a
Very cool.
Vive la France, 1925.
After World War I ended and Alsace-Lorraine returned to the French, so did Feste Mutzig. The German soldiers, just as relieved to having survived the war, was showing their equally relieved French counterparts around the fort, one that would inspire them on how to develop and build their Maginot Line. Maybe for a moment's peace, the two parties did not realize another war was guaranteed after the Treaty of Versailles.
Let's have a look at the fake dome now that we're here, because I think I've only seen one fake dome somewhere else before, because they're cement, they erode, and they don't last very long. Well, they don't last as long. Now don't be fooled, all the red little things are because they're pointy and to make the tourists safe.
Yeah.
Just oh, they even have a steel pipe. Is that period?
Yes. It's for change the position for drill for.
And underneath, is there a four underneath or nothing?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Of course. So if these got bombed, nothing would be destroyed.
Right, no.
It's a fake turret. I was this original 1910 construction or
The tube, no, just a dome.
the dome?
Yes, it's original.
When did the tube come in?
The association creates for make the demonstration during.
But during World War I or World War II, they had the fake tube,
Yeah.
Yeah. and it have a little boo boo. This is a really neat detail. This is the original World War II.
Well, yes.
This is the original barbed wire. And these would be surrounding the fort on all sides. This is so cool. This is just. This is what happened instead of building a moat.
Yes.
This is cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cheaper. Come into another kill zone over there, and this one right here. So these firing ports are actually pointing towards where you come in. And if you actually manage to get in here in this little moat, you have firing ports down there. So if you come down the driveway, you're still funneled into a kill zone. As the next generation of building big, heavy moats, you now put up steel rails instead of earth embankments. And of course, you come in here, and you have another firing port. You have here. So this is a small caserne.
Yes.
A small barracks for 200 people.
200 people with a kitchen, a PC with a telephone, and a room for sleep. And there are infirmary.
But this is not a fighting position. This is just barracks.
Yes, it's
and this, of course, runs down to the building.
Yes.
This runs all the way down to the big building.
Gallery for. A little kitchen.
Oh yes. You have a two small boilers.
Yes, and this it's close the kitchen, and this it's for the vapor of water, and make hot water with.
I'm sensing a lot of stew.
Yes.
The radiator.
Yeah.
What years did they start?
It's for the new generation of fortification of Metz. There are when a
Central heating.
Yes, and in the old room there are radiator.
So this is still pre-World War I?
Yes.
I love these radiators. I grew up in a house in Europe with a radiator like that.
It's for gun.
Yes.
Make a gun like this.
And they're numbered.
Yes.
So everybody would remember.
All soldiers have one number.
Ooh, I see brass.
It's for the hospitals.
This is the hospital, yeah.
Yes.
Was this a hospital or just an infirmary?
Infirmary, but I have a medicine inside and infirmary. But the big hospital is Metz. It's a hospital, look west, a military hospital now, but at First World War, always hospital.
So they actually could do surgeries and stuff here.
Yes.
And you have the traditional bathtub.
And it's a bathroom
Yeah.
for the soldiers.
The one bathtub.
Yes.
For those who are too wounded to bathe themselves, which means this bathtub was not actually something you want to see.
Yeah.
If you need this, you have bigger problems. This is gorgeous.
Yes, for hot water.
You guys polished it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do we have here? What do we have here? Well, it's in French, so you're going to have to
Yes,
tell me.
it's Metz. There are 10 years. I destroyed one building of the army, German army, and the association save this rock because there are one eagles of the
Bloody hell, yes.
of the Imperial War, Emperor Guillaume II.
Yes.
And you don't see, the association don't see this is destroyed of the little rock.
You don't know how much was destroyed. So is this a marble top?
Yes.
And then
It's a door.
oh, this was the door. Okay.
Yes.
So you had the marble front, then you have the,
Yes.
the cement.
Two parts. Yes.
And this is cement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a barn of old fortification, and this F. Gel, a Festung Galandan, a terrain militaire. And this door, it's a fortification door, old fortification of Metz. And during the Second World War, there are a woman prisoner. He stayed in, and for the water, he made in a Russia feminine.
Yeah. So this was for the female prisoners that worked on.
Yes, yes. It's original, and the association saved this door. Projector of the gun of the 7 centimeter.
Was that the type that was in that room?
Normally in one.
This was 1910?
Yes.
Somehow 1910 searchlights are just as impressive as they are in 1940.
Yeah.
This is
The a film of AEG. It's a big film of projector.
this is 110 years old.
It's a phone. It's the original phone.
That's the original phone.
Yes.
Ooh. All right, so obviously this is the phone and the receiver and the little bell, and this is the switchboard.
Yes. Yes.
So you could connect with who you needed to connect with.
Yes.
All right, then you need to definitely. This is the battery.
Battery. Yes.
This is the backup battery.
Yes. With acid inside and make electricity.
Before the war, the fort was connected to the main power grid.
Yes.
And then the generators would kick in war if.
Yeah.
And then if that failed, you had the backup battery.
Yes.
Of the little jars that we still see in the Maginot Line forts, sitting in the corners where the gas alarm is, running like this.
Yes. A box for switch the line of telephone. The Kaiser Ring, it's one fortification of Metz. Battery Morvo, it's the same battery of the railway.
So all of the forts around Metz were connected.
It's connected, and this is one connecting one cable of telephone for connect all fortification of Metz. And this it's for one line. One line. This inside there are 17 line of telephone.
How deep were they dug in? Do you know?
Yes.
They were all underground.
Yes, inside the soldier make a tranchée for connect all the fortification of Metz.
Wow. So all the forts were connected by telephone line.
Yes, there are 100 kilometers of gallery for the telephone.
That's important.
Yes. This is a repartiteur of telephone.
Is this fuses?
Yes. One line.
And each had a little fuse.
Yes.
And this is again before World War I.
And this, there are indication of the fortification and line direction of fortification for the line. one start for Feste Wagner and one start for leather.
The other fort. I just think it's impressive that we have fuses and we have all this electronics before World War I even started.
This is the paper of original paper in the fortification.
Oh, you found these here?
Yes, it's the original paper made in the.
That you printed them here?
Yes.
So the fort had its own newsletter too?
You wash the building and I see this paper.
So of course, so the fort with all these people had its own little newspaper? Or newsletter? Newsletter. I just love the details when they built it all, prepared to take the cables and electronics and built in the masonry. And see the close defensive positions. And then, yes, tunnel! Spend my life in tunnels. You see above us you have all the electrical wiring. So all the different blocks were connected.
This is a big observatory of archery. It's a big model.
So, yeah, now we are coming to the outside of the fort, right? Ooh. This is the phone central.
Yes, phone central.
With another phone booth, with another insulated phone booth.
Yes, and this is a big model of observatory.
Yay! I love the little phone booth.
This is for the alert of permanence of the surveillance.
Oh yes, yeah, these are the firing positions.
Yes.
And the heavy steel door for the outside.
This is the same observatory of the first time.
The small dome.
Yes, small observatory.
Considering
Yes.
the luxury of the Maginot Line, this is awesome. You have a little bathroom, you have a toilet, you have a door you can close.
Yes.
You have ventilation, you have lights. This is not bad. And since there's 2 and 2 here next to each other, I'm guessing the other one was for the officer.
Yeah.
And you have air to open if you need to in the peacetime.
There are 2 models of toilets. The second models and the first model of the fortification of Metz is this model. It changed the model during the build of fortification.
This is a little more elaborate.
But build this model and the second century of Metz, second model. It's the originality of course, build of fortification.
Yeah, because these looks, they look cheaper.
Yes, it's evolution of...
Yeah, in other words, these are cheaper. Well, that's kind of funny to think was that Bosch made the toilets because They don't make toilets anymore. But Bosch makes tools, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
So that's just another business
Yeah.
that survived.
All time make a business. Huh?
I mean, war is all about business. If you don't make money on it, there's no reason to make war.
Yeah. Yeah. All money with war.
I hate to say it, but every time people go and die, somebody else makes money on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they make a lot of money on it. All right, so now we're going under the moat to the bigger fort. I mean, aren't we? Aren't we?
Yeah, it's a second building, a big building
Yes.
of two floors. And this gallery, backside in the fosse of Little Gun.
I love the LEDs. It's very romantic. I guess disco lighting is the best solution sometimes.
This is for move the gun.
So this is, what is this? This is a 7 point, this is not 7.5, this is a 5 centimeter.
Yes.
5 centimeter gun?
5 centimeter, yes. And normally shoot a shrapnel. We try for protect the wall.
And you have the
This
search
is a
lights.
little projector for the light. And if you want shoot with this gun.
He's serious.
Yes.
He's actually giving me ear protection.
It's okay?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a big shotgun shell. I don't think it's a secret. And this was the sights. Basic sights.
Just for gun, yes.
Yeah, you had the basic sights over. This was just for the protection of the moat.
Yes.
This was a close defensive weapon.
Yeah, just defensive.
And this would fire canister and shot.
Yes.
Canister as well.
Can
Canister, yeah. And that does exactly what it's supposed to do. It doesn't need to be big and fancy and have a lot of things. This just needs to clear the enemy of the moat outside.
Yes.
Do the windows move?
Yes.
And there you have the moat out there.
Yes.
And you can almost see over the shot. Okay, this. So this is where the moat is, and that's the forward aiming.
Yeah.
And the rear right there. And this would just clear everybody that would come in here. Perfect. In World War I, World War II, this would do exactly this would do it today. You don't need any more.
Yeah.
It just needs to, this is a very large shotgun.
Yeah.
That will just clear stuff outside. Absolutely brilliant. And that's where the little wheels. Oh yeah, of course, and you move it forward. You pull it forward normally. And you have plenty of room, you have plenty of ammunition. This is not a cramped fighting space.
It's great for.
I know, I mean, it would be loud, but would they use hearing protection back then?
For.
World War I, was there hearing protection? stick bread in there?
Yes, a middle pan inside.
Yep. And a little projector there as well? Or just fire?
Not just see.
This observation?
Just observation, yes.
Yeah, you see down the moat there. So they would get hung up in the barbed wire and then you could shoot at them.
Yeah.
So now we're coming under the moat and now we're coming back up.
Yeah.
We're at a 25, 30 degree incline?
Yeah, it's a gallery for connect all the buildings. Yeah.
And one of the things we see in a lot of the between World War I and World War II forts is the little room to place explosives in case you needed to block off a hallway or a walkway. You need to destroy the hallway so the enemy, if the enemy penetrated into one of the forts, they couldn't go all the way. These are one of these little holes where you would pull in explosives on both sides and then you could successfully explode the hallway and block the entrance of an enemy that would have come in here.
Sleep and light.
These are all the original cables too.
Room of the second part of fortification of Metz with hammock. The soldier sleep in the hammock. Before in building, normally there are a bed.
Yeah. So the beds were only in the first generation.
Yes.
And then the second generation
is hammock with chauffage, with radiator.
So that's why the first generation Maginot Line fort had hammocks.
Yeah.
Until they figured the second generation didn't.
Yeah.
So there'll be 3 officers to a room.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah, there are one place this and first generation with a bed and lit superposé.
First generation?
Yeah, first generation.
So they started with beds and then figured out again that was too expensive, so they downgraded the beds and the toilets.
Possible.
This is the 1908.
Yeah.
Water cooled, belt fed.
Yeah, water.
This is the gun that killed a lot of people in World War I in the trenches. And this is the interesting about the Mexican gun is everybody used it.
Yeah.
The Germans used it, the French used it, the British used it. The Russians used it.
Yeah.
They used it in World War II as well.
Yeah.
And that's the field affutage as well.
It's not original.
That's not the original.
Not original. It's a copy, a Pologne copy.
The affutage?
Yeah, but it's
It looks like
same model.
Yeah. Oh wow. They really did bunker art well in this generation. Look at that. I mean, this is really...
Yes, it's an original look with in the observatory.
I mean, if you're going to do fortress art... Wow.
And Ernst Koch, a kill.
They signed it too. 1916.
Yes.
This is interesting. Amazing room. What was this room?
It's a foyer for rides, speak.
Oh, this was the casino again.
Casino, yeah.
Wow. I'm sensing kitchen here.
Yeah, a big kitchen.
Oh yeah, we have you have 2 large and 1 small.
Yeah. For 3 or 400 people.
Are you sure he would be cooking with his pickle helmet?
No. Normally, Metz.
Probably. I think we call it artistic license.
Yeah.
And the water heater. Or is that the coffee machine?
Yeah, coffee machine.
That's a coffee machine?
Yes, and hot water for wash the legume and the coffee.
I mean, even World War I had a coffee machine.
Yeah.
Coffee is important. And this was when they delivered the food to the men.
Yes.
They would put the hot food in there, and then they would make a run.
Yeah, make a run. Yes.
And these are food containers too.
Yes, for hot.
And if I'm not all mistaken, they are double-sided, so they could be So they would actually keep warm in here.
Yeah.
So these are rooms where the soldiers would live?
Yes.
On the second floor?
Yes.
So how much above us?
2 meters.
2 meter.
2 meters, yes, of beton.
2 meters. I guess it's a night for World War I. It was just about okay.
But First World War it's okay, but Second World War it's.
Even World War I, it was getting a little hairy. How many? Are there 3 floors or?
Two floors with a back floor with a cistern for water. And now see a replicate and the tranchée of protect.
So the fighting was right above.
Yes, it's for protect the building.
What makes this such an impressive place is it was prepared and installed before World War I. And still, when it came to World War II, it still managed to hold off an advancing American army, bombers and all. Even though the missing rebar definitely took down some walls, the Germans held up, and they held out, and they slowed down the American advance. That makes this impressive.
In Fortress Wagner, there is so much more I want to show you. In fact, there is so much more, I have to do an entire another episode just to show you a small part of this amazing place. Behind me is Wernher von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Diebner's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that are used for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceint.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.